reflections on the Four Noble Truths, the relationship of anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and not self, how these qualities relate to the experience of body and mind, an experience of the world. Whether that world is the weight of our body on the cushion, the morning bird song, or the feelings of our vessel hoving into port. Sunday, thought of going home today, moving on, ending. Our time together as a single body reaching its conclusion. A feeling of joyfulness, satisfaction, or sadness. The end of something nice. Something painful, something beautiful. Just opening the heart to these feelings. Feeling the resonances of all our different voices of yesterday evening. Taking it all in. Feeling all of that. The delicate, the wise, the sad, the beautiful, the hilarious, the practical. Regardless of what conventional day this is. Beginning of a retreat, end of a retreat, no retreat, in the monastery, outside the monastery. At the root, what are these? It's conditions of mind that are changing. Nobody's going anywhere. Even that excitement of, I'm going home, I'm going home. Even that isn't going anywhere. Arises, does its thing, ceases. It always happens here. This is where finality is found, in the place of non-abiding. Right here in this ordinary moment. Beneath the layers of my ordinary body, my ordinary mind, my ordinary day. Ordinary country in this ordinary world. Just behind or in front of that layer of familiarity. The accretions of ignorance, not seeing clearly. Just behind it, beneath the veil, is the Dhamma itself. The Dhammata. Every thought, every feeling, every mood, beautiful or ugly, sacred or profane, practical, deranged. Everything is of the same substance. It's all Dhamma. It's all part of nature, the mental, the physical, inside, outside. It all follows the laws of Dhamma, Dhamma niyamata. These are all attributes of nature, established in nature, in Dhamma, Dhamma titata. So as the perceptions become more varied and turbulent, we need to do more decision making, engaging, to put on those personae, the masks of being somebody. Just feeling the changes, feeling the shift of perceptions and moods. It's all of the same substance. It's all knowable in exactly the same way. Nothing is really lost. So even if there's been a moment, and the briefest flash of clarity during this last 10 days together, even if the light comes on just for that brief moment, we know. In that moment we know. And so even if the light is off for the rest of this lifetime, the mind taken up with busyness and activity, engagement, and that brief moment of beauty is out of reach, rather than to dwell upon lost opportunity or being nostalgic for a lovely moment of the past. Just to allow that moment of clarity, of insight, to have its effect, to reflect. Even if there's confusion and busyness now, my life has not been wasted, because at least for one moment the heart understood how it is, and that's enough. And even if the thought arises, well, I didn't even have a moment. Right now, that which knows that thought, that's the escape hatch. That's the doorway. Just let the door open. Even this self-disparaging, self-critical thought, me the failure, that which knows the thought, I'm a failure. It's all been hopeless. That which knows the thought is not the thought. That which knows the feeling of failure is not failing. And that's always here. It can't be lost. Because it's the very basis of experience, the very basis of mind. At the end of a retreat or end of a time together, it's part of our custom in the monastery to ask for forgiveness. Say to the teacher or your fellow retreatants, by body, speech or mind, whatever I might have done, intentional or unintentionally, that's been hurtful, painful to you, I ask for your forgiveness. And the teacher customarily responds, I forgive you, and I also ask for your forgiveness in exactly the same way. So we do this as a formal practice with each other, but also this is something skillful and helpful to do with ourselves. How many judgments do we carry around about ourselves as unforgivable shortcomings, as stingy attitudes, selfish, greedy, indulgent, hateful, jealous. The whole string of condemnations that we can come up with about how bad and how rotten we are, where we would never treat our friends that way. We would never be so unforgiving to our friends. So if for a moment one just follows the exercise of thinking of yourself as your best friend, if John or Susan or Hannah or David, Sarah, if she was your best friend rather than being yourself, and she came to you and said, oh, I did this, and I did this, and I'm like this, and I'm like that, and years ago I did this, that, and the other, and I really can't forgive myself, can't put it down. I feel so bad, I'm such a rotten person. If she came to you and said that, what arises immediately in the heart? But unconditional compassion. It's not that bad, don't worry about it. Let go. We're infinitely more forgiving to others than we are to ourselves. We feel obligated to carry around our shortcomings. So we can take this opportunity as the retreat comes to an end to offer forgiveness for our own life, our own wrongdoings, our own narrowness, weakness, selfishness, greediness, mediocrity. Forgive ourselves for having completely wasted our life. All of the whole list of missed opportunities. We can just forgive it all, unreservedly. Just as if you were your best friend coming to you to confess this whole lifetime of things that have been missed and lost. Compassion wells up in the heart. Because we can let go. And in this moment, the Dhamma is right here. In the story of the Buddha's previous life, he lived as a very vigorous ascetic, a hermit, cultivating all kinds of austerities, trying to conquer the realm of feeling and perfect equanimity. So he experienced all kinds of discomfort and pain, fasting and torturing the body, to develop peacefulness and calmness in the face of great discomfort. At the end of his life, after many, many years of deep spiritual commitment and austerity, finally he passed away, and then, to his amazement, as the consciousness left his body, rather than zooming up to a beautiful heavenly realm, he saw the gates of hell in front of him. And he thought, hell? What? After all those decades of purifying spiritual practice, how could this be? King Yama says to him, yes, well, you scored some points doing all those well-intentioned practices, but during the whole of that time you were cultivating extreme aversion towards the body, hatred towards the material world, and negativity towards pleasant feeling. So the result of all that aversion and negativity is that you're booked in for a stay down here. So then, said, as the Buddha then, the Bodhisattva approached the gates of hell and he just thought, oh well, that lifetime was a complete and utter waste. Okay, begin again. And as he let go of that, in that moment, that the equanimity with which he completely forgave himself and was ready to walk into hell, then instantaneously that lifetime ended and he zoomed up to the two-seater heaven. We can really grieve lost opportunity, really feel that's an important thing. If only when I had that chance, I had so much potential. People were expecting so much of me. I might have. We create this sense of diminution, absence in ourselves. But the Dhamma is complete here and now. Fully available every moment. So regardless of all of the mistakes, the shortcomings, lost opportunities. Even now, when things might seem to be so diminished and so against us, and so much has slipped through our fingers, the Dhamma is still here. It's perfect entirety. It's just a matter of opening the door, awakening to it. Just as the story of John Nightingale, a man with motor neurone disease I described. I read a story recently in a book called The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, about a Frenchman, young, brilliant, bon vivant, a Parisian guy, editor of Elle magazine, 43 years old, brilliant, witty, charming, bright young man about town. Suddenly, at the age of 43, he was hit by a massive stroke and completely paralyzed, so suffering from what was called locked-in syndrome. Complete immobility, apart from the capacity to blink one eye and turn his neck a few degrees. He wrote this book through blinking his left eye, spelled out letter by letter. The most beautiful and poignant, exquisite piece of writing. As he said, I think every sentence 12 times over before I write it. When you have to blink every letter, you take care not to say anything you don't need. One of the incidents he describes is some years before, when he and some friends worked on a different newspaper in Paris. Bright young things running their own paper, working ridiculous hours every day, never taking any holidays or breaks. But one day they got a hot tip for a horse race at Vincennes. So he and a couple of others decided to go out and have a day at the races. And his tip was so hot, 20 to 1, dead cert. Everyone working in the office was piling cash on them to take and put on this horse. So they all got dressed up, went out for a day at the races, found a really good restaurant they had there. And he describes how there he was, putting away this fabulous, delicious food, good wine, toking away on their fine cigars. And they suddenly realized, oh, that was the fourth race. We were supposed to put that money on the horse. Rushed down to the booth, just in time for it to come down in front of them. No more bets. Holding their bundles of cash in their hands. Nope, sorry sir, no more bets. And then they sat down disconsolately and watched, coming around the final turn, Mitra Longchamp coming in, taking a lead, 1 length, 2 lengths, 4 lengths. The winner by 5 lengths, 20 to 1 outsider, the very horse they should have put their money on. Dead cert, 20 to 1. And they didn't get the bet down because they were so busy having a wonderful time on their 3-hour lunch. So he took this as an example of lost opportunity, and how his mind could easily grab his whole life. the things he could have done, the places he could have gone, what he could have achieved with his children, and now here he is, locked in this useless body. But without complaining, without being angry, or without being afraid to be critical, he also could realize that there were things that he was understanding and qualities of life he could now appreciate that were never visible. And he was busy buzzing around, being the bright young man about town. And being able to know that sense of lost opportunity, and also to recognize, really, in a strange way, nothing is missing. It looks like some glorious chance has just passed us by. But that's only one way of looking at it. Without sugaring it over, without hypocrisy. We shift the vision, and even being totally paralyzed, locked in a chair, you find that nothing is excluded from you. The Dhamma is still right here, even when everything has been lost. What a miracle. Asking for forgiveness and letting go in this way is also a way of climbing down from our pride. Pride is indeed a subtle and pervasive, confusing quality. There's a Native American saying which goes, no matter how far you've gone down the wrong trail, when you find out, turn back. No matter how far you've gone down the wrong trail, when you find out, turn back. Because it's so easy for us to think, well, I've committed myself this far, I suppose I should just keep on going. I know this is stupid. I know this is pointless. But what will people think if I stop now? What will people think if I give up on this? Pride keeps us going. Like if we've taken a wrong trail, walking through the countryside. I've gone all these miles. I can't waste them. But if you've just gone 5 miles north when you were supposed to go south, stop, turn around, go back. Maybe take a slightly different route. Something in us doesn't want to admit, is too proud to drop it. We feel I've got to carry on with this. What will people think? But I've started to look for these people. I can't actually find them. Those people who think about my life. Where are they? And I suspect that if most of us look, all of those people who we worry about what they will think about our life, they're actually members of the committee. They are closer than we realize. When you're halfway through a conversation and you realize that you're having a go at someone and you really don't want to be doing this, you can just stop. A number of years ago, because I was so habituated to just sort of barreling on through, I started and seeing painfulness of that, even when you know that you shouldn't be doing this, or this is the wrong way to be going, I started to develop the practice of just stopping myself in mid-sentence and saying, I don't really want to be saying this. This is getting uncomfortable, isn't it? Or, actually, that's not really true. What really happened was... And it's amazing how positive a result that has. Those mysterious people, don't mind if you just stop and come back to reality. So forgiveness is also that capacity that we have to recognize this is the wrong path, turn back. And if we just reflect how many times we've caused huge difficulty and anguish and conflict between ourselves and others just by that, well, I've got to stick with it, I've got to keep going because a few years ago somebody forwarded us the transcript of a exchange of radio messages that took place a few years ago off the coast of Newfoundland. And the first signal said was broadcast to the USS Lincoln, or to the ship that was approaching. Said, please alter your course 15 degrees to the south. Currently you are on collision course. Repeat, please alter your course 15 degrees to the south. The message came back. This is the USS Lincoln, second largest battleship in the North Atlantic Fleet. We suggest that instead you alter your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid collision. Repeat. USS Lincoln, we suggest you change your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid collision. Repeat. This is the USS Lincoln plus 15 other vessels. There's absolutely no possibility of us changing our course. We suggest firmly that you change your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid collision. The message came back. We're a lighthouse. Your call. To forgive, begin again. Stop, turn back. Just like reshaping the position of the cushions in this hall. Space is infinitely flexible. We have the room to maneuver in our lives. It's all adaptable, malleable. We can stop, revision, look again. We can drop it. as the day unfolds, just let the changes wash through you. We will allow from breakfast time, we'll allow the noble silence to be embroidered with noble speech. Rather than breaking the silence, think of it in terms of allowing your speech to decorate the silence. The silence is really still there, even though the level of noise might be much, much higher. The silence is still there underneath it. So as we begin to talk and the personalities reappear, you can find out whether our projections about that the woman with the red blanket or the guy with that jacket, was she really a doctor? I'm sure he's a mechanic. He looks like a gardener. She's got to be. As all of the blanks get filled in, we put on our masks and become somebody again. Rather than grabbing that and adoring it, or dropping it like a hot brick and running away from it, just let your heart open to the flow of feelings, loving, hating, delighting, adoring, repelled. At ease with it. Just letting the heart be open to let the changes flow through. Watch the moods. Rather than reacting to the moods, grabbing them or running away from them, really cultivate this quality of listening to the moods, tracking them, knowing them. Feeling threatened, feeling excited, feeling busy, feeling sad. Just listening. Taking it all in. Knowing it. The body is still there. The nada sound is still there. The breath, the Dhamma, it's all still here. It doesn't go anywhere. So all it takes is that moment of recollection, relaxation, attending, and the heart remembers.